Hi, welcome to Portage County Matters. I'm Patty Dreier, Portage County Executive. Really glad to have you with us today. We have a wonderful December show in store for you. We're going to feature the Kettle Campaign and the Salvation Army and our Hope Center and people who do really great things for people in need during our season of giving. And also, I've got a couple of announcements at the top of the show that are, are all related to important stuff. So let me get to that right now, and then we'll get to our guests. First of all, in December, I am hosting a groundwater field day for state legislators. I've invited about 50 state senators and representatives to come to Portage County for a 4-hour tour around our county on a bus with educational stops along the way as we learn about our water story through a variety of people's voices and telling their story. We'll be featuring municipal water stories, issues. We'll be looking at what the issue is for some individuals who have their own water at home. They're not on a public drinking water source, and what that means when they have to treat their water and make sure that their water is safe to drink. We'll have an opportunity to be on a field at a farm and learn about irrigation and technologies for irrigation capacity and some of the farmers' issues too. We'll head over to learn about lakes and streams. We'll be shocking some fish and looking at where our beaches will be in the future if our projections for water are realized in our future, and about how all of this winds together to really form the basis of a strong economy recreationally, from a tourism standpoint, from a quality of life standpoint, from a vibrant community standpoint. I've already got some reservations coming in for this event. I'm really excited about the diversity of people who will be sharing those different perspectives, and hope that we'll be able to guide some better groundwater policy making at the state level, recognizing that one size doesn't fit all for water in the state of Wisconsin, especially when you consider how different the Central Sands are to other areas of the state. Another item that I wanted to share with you is related to the fact that the County Executive's Office is having a winter solstice open house on December 17th from 2 to 6 p.m. in the County Annex building. We've been doing this, Jamie Gabert, my executive assistant, and I, for every year, every holiday season in the county exec's office. What we do is we use our own money and cook up stuff in our own kitchen and bring in treats and have an open house to invite everybody to come in. For some people, it's their very first time to come to the county executive's office, and this is our reminder, my reminder to every citizen here, that this is your office, not mine. I happen to be a person who is playing the role of county executive here and honored to serve in this way, but it's really your office. It's a time where you can come and express a concern or share an idea or just have some holiday spirit with us. So that again is December 17th from 2 to 6 p.m. We have a kickoff for dementia-friendly communities also taking place in December. On December 15th in our Aging and Disability Resource Center from 3 to 4:30 p.m. we have a special presentation. We'll have a proclamation to kick off our efforts to becoming a dementia-friendly community. This is the leading edge of how our communities are going to need to be in our future as there are more and more people and families living with dementia. We are going to have a special speaker at that particular event. It's Susan H. McFadden, who has pulled together, she's a professor emerita of psychology from the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh and has done research on the Fox Valley Memory Project. There's so many other things I would love to tell you about it, but we want to make sure that we save enough time for our guest today. There will be snowmaking at Standing Rocks County Park this winter season, thanks to the efforts, the fundraising efforts of many community citizens. They raised $125,000 to match with county funds to make the project possible for both downhill and cross-country skiing. This is an especially great place at a county park to be able to teach young people to downhill ski, to start off with a lifestyle that's really active so that it can stick with them for their whole lifetime. And so we hope that you'll get out for snowmaking. I can't tell you what the exact date will be when we're ready for snow. It'll depend on consistently cold temperatures, our parks director tells me, but be watching the news for that, and I hope to see you out at Standing Rocks this winter season. That's also a really important revenue stream to help fund and support and sustain our county park system. So whatever you do to spend $1 at a county park goes right back into the county park system to help us keep our parks absolutely fantastic as they are today. We'll also in December be hosting a ribbon cutting at a new park property called Steinhaugen. It's about 5 miles northeast of Jordan Park. We just procured this property and finished the arrangements to secure it into perpetuity, I'm happy to say. It's over 200 acres of land. It's a lovely, really high diverse area. We have a parking lot there where you'll be able to park, and it's all for silent sports. So for snowshoeing or skiing, you'll be able to have some great opportunities, as in make your own path on skiing, I'm sure. But get out there for a fall hike if you have a chance, or get out there for some winter sports. This may also possibly be an area for our fat tire bicycling in the future in the winter season, but I'm not sure about if we'll be ready for those things in its first season. Again, we'll host a ribbon cutting likely the second week of December. I don't have specifics on that. Watch the news for it. And that is my news for today's show. I just want to turn and introduce you now to Bob Quam and Dana Kaminsky out of the Salvation Army right here in Portage County, Stevens Point. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us, Patty.
It's a very busy season, especially for you, as we know that the time of need, especially when we're talking about homeless needs, is more keen during the winter time frame. So anyway, I'd like you, Bob, maybe if you could kick us off, just tell us a little bit about yourself and the Salvation Army.
Well, I'm the Director of Operations for the Salvation Army in Stevens Point in Portage County. Christmas is always a special time for need with us. The need increases as the weather gets colder, obviously, and also the holidays put special stress on a lot of people. I mean, quite often we'll see families with very little for resources, and they want to give their children a happy Christmas. So sometimes they will go to extreme measures to do that. In Stevens Point, we operate primarily a homeless shelter, and it's open to single men, single women, and most importantly and increasingly, it's open to families. And during the past 6-7 months, we've had anywhere between a dozen and 21 children in the shelter. So homelessness is no longer what we used to think of. I guess it's like the car ad, this isn't your father's homelessness anymore.
And Dana, you work right at the Hope Center for a good part of your time. That is the homeless shelter's name. It's right near the YMCA in Stevens Point. I always just think of it, it's a central location. Talk about your role there.
I'm the Director of Housing, so I deal with all of the residents, their issues, stuff coming into the shelter, being distributed with the residents. That's all kind of what I do. So a lot of the case management.
And at the same time as we have the homeless shelter that you operate, you are a bridge to help pull in other resources for families in need.
Yes.
And through the Kettle campaign, this is at least part of that movement.
Sure it is. Our Red Kettle campaign is a large part of our funding for our operation, and it's a large part of the funding for Salvation Armies across the country. The funding from the Red Kettle campaign stays in Stevens Point in Portage County, and it goes to support the Hope Center. The Hope Center typically is a place for people to come. We're open for meals to the community, and we've seen in the past few years more and more people come and just take advantage of the meals we have, as well as the residents of the Hope Center.
I know that our church participates, and there are other faith-based organizations and other community organizations in general, I would suppose, that also help to put on the meals, be there to serve, bring the food, and so on?
Well, we have volunteers come in for the meals. We've had one group that's come in during the school year for 15 years, once a
Wow.
week, and provided the meals. So it really has become a community thing. And a lot of churches, a lot of social organizations, university groups come in and prepare the meals.
Dana, when we're at the meal site at Hope Center, how many people would you typically serve on a night? Oh, and how often are the meals offered there?
There's
I can't
always
recall.
breakfast is at 7, lunch is at noon, and dinner's at 5:30, and that's all open to the public. Typically, lunchtime we're running about 25 people, and then for dinners about 40 to 45 people.
Wow, so that's a combination of those living at Hope Center and those that are drop-ins for a meal.
Yep, we have a lot of people, a lot of regulars that come to lunch, especially lunch and dinner every day. So.
And you're on the bus line there, so they can come if they don't have any other means of transportation. I know that food security is a growing issue just across communities everywhere. And we're seeing this. It's not just through the Salvation Army's doors, but in so many other ways and doors in the community. I am keenly aware of this.
Well, when the economy went bad several years ago, we thought we'd see a lot of people coming into the shelter. That didn't happen. What we did see was a lot more people coming in for meals and taking advantage of supplemental food baskets and stuff like that. So really, and most of those people have stayed. And I think some people, they just come for the fellowship. Some people come for the need. Some people come for both. So we welcome them all.
For all those folks that are just tuning in with us right now, I've got Bob Qualm and Dana Kaminsky. We're talking about the Salvation Army here in Portage County and the Stevens Point area, and the whole holiday season, the time that many of us want to find another way to give. We give all year long to a number of different causes. Anybody who really calls themselves a Portage County citizen at heart knows that we're just such a giving community every day of the year here. But in this time of year, many of us seek out some additional ways. So we have those ways and those opportunities through the Red Kettle campaign, which is highly publicized, and I always am honored to help kick off the campaign. We just did a few days before the taping of this show. And at the same time, even this year, we're having something different. Besides the Kettle Walk, which this is your second year, and you did that on the Saturday after the Kettle kickoff, walking, how many miles was it?
It's basically 6.2 miles or 10K.
Yeah, I did that last year and didn't make it this year. We had a family function, but it's exciting to see that there's some other options for us to build awareness. But this year also, the village of Plover, the city of Stevens Point, and Portage County are each going to have a little Red Kettle, I'll say competition, but it's really an awareness building event on December 3rd in the evening from 6 to 8 p.m. I'll be at the Park Ridge grocery store, so Cop's store, and the mayor will be at Triggs, and Dan Mahoney, the administrator from the village of Plover, will be down at the Plover Cops, all during that same time frame, trying to raise money, extra and extra awareness for your cause as well, our cause.
Our cause.
Yeah.
We love to have special events, Patty. I mean, one of our most popular events during the year will be on, I believe it's December 5th, when the fire department from Stevens Point, fire departments from Plover, police departments from both Plover and Stevens Point, and the sheriff's department, they'll all be out at the various stores, and they have a very competitive group that goes out there to do that. So it really is a great time to come out and meet the fellows. I know the fire department usually has some equipment out there with them, and they have a great time. The other really exciting challenge we have is the Bear Packer Challenge.
I was going to say, I'm thinking.
And the Bear Packer Challenge, at each location that we have the challenge, we have one kettle for the Bears and one kettle for the Packers. And of course, we try to see who will get the most money in the kettle, and we declare that the victor. However, we had to handicap the Bears a little bit here. So they get a certain percentage. If they get 60% of what we do, then we consider that about equal. But that's a good competition and a lot of fun. I know once I did something I swore I'd never do in my life. I wore a cheesehead hat. Now, I don't have it with me, so don't ask.
You're so funny. So what's our capacity at the Hope Center?
Our capacity is 35 residents, but at times we're over that. We have 52 beds, I believe. And we've come really close to filling all of those because there's times, you know, when we're seeing a lot more families now. Bob and I were just talking this week that we've had 4 newborns that were born while their parents are staying at the shelter.
Wow.
So that's the most in 1 year that we've ever had. So we're getting a lot more families, single fathers.
Interesting.
We're seeing.
So where do you go from here? So they come and they stay at the Hope Center. And your goal is 130, how much, 130,000? How much are you trying to raise?
The Red Kettle campaign goal is 135,000.
Yeah, I knew it was 130 something.
That's roughly a third of our funding,
Okay.
very roughly. But,
For the Hope Center and for all of your functions?
well, mostly our
that?
function is the Hope Center between the meals and the housing.
Okay.
So,
All right, so, okay, so you have this new family at the Hope Center with a newborn. What kinds of actions do you go through in trying to help them transition and not be homeless anymore?
We'll refer them to W-2 because that's our best right now thing where they're getting a stipend. They can use the child care, and then they also give them bus passes, and there's other things that W-2 offers them. But we'll refer them to the county nurse, to WIC.
But also, when you say W-2, you're talking about job services, trying to help them find a way to sustain themselves?
Yep. And W-2 helps with that. But then there's also the hunger poverty, where they do some workshops to help parents, you know, how to feed their
Build
kids.
skills.
Yep, build skills. I think the YMCA is having a cooking meal, cooking smart or cooking healthy class through hunger poverty. So, you know, their food share dollars, they are being able to spread that out when they're learning how to cook a meal and a nutritious meal for their children.
And we have some programs through our Health and Human Services and our other contract partnerships with United Way and the Family Crisis Center and so on, where we're able to, you know, help to connect the dots, I guess, for people and get on their feet and stay on it. Do you see people regularly repeat residency then? Or are you really seeing that we're able to be successful here in helping people gain some permanent independence?
I think we see a lot of both. I mean, we see more repeat business than we like, but it sometimes takes 1 or 2 trips or 3 trips or 4 to get through the issues. I mean, we may have, even just a single guy may come to the shelter. He may have health issues. He may have substance abuse problems. He may have a shaky employment history. He may have evictions in his past. So to get his life all back on track in one relatively short period of time is a lot to get through. So sometimes we see people repeat. And what we do is we work on what's been built, and hopefully we can build some more on that. And quite often people, after they've been there 2 or 3 times, they'll get it all together and they'll lead a successful life, and they'll be a member of the community and a participating member and make the community stronger.
Now, there are a number of other opportunities for people to get involved with the Salvation Army besides hosting a kettle and ringing the bell. Dana, you wanna? I think you have a bell app on your phone. Anyway, I did 4 hours of ringing the bell last year, and I just found that to be wonderful. It really was. And I also found that new puppies, when you stand out there with your new puppy and you're singing, as I was, as well as saying hello to folks and just being a friendly face out there, it was a great opportunity to help fill the kettles, I guess you would say, and help to support a really great, solid, lasting kind of cause. You've been part of our story here in Portage County for how long? You've been
Salvation Army in one form or another has been in Portage County, I believe, about 25 years now. We've been at our present location 17 years. So it's a lifetime commitment that the Army makes, and When we go into a community, we don't come into a community and tell the community what we're going to do. We come and do what the community needs us to do. And in that case, in Stevens Point, it was really the shelter that was needed. So we did that, and we continued to do that and expand sometimes, like the meal program where we serve meals to the community. But it is a wonderful community because anytime a resident is with us, they're also going to get referred to a lot of different agencies in town that can help. So we aren't out there all by ourselves. We've got Portage County Health and Human Services, we've got the local hospitals, we've got Boys and Girls Club helps in some cases. I mean, just about any agency in Stevens Point we work with.
Schools and so on, for sure.
The schools, but that's an interesting, the schools in Stevens Point also have a liaison to deal specifically with homeless children. And I didn't know that before I came to Stevens Point. I didn't even know there was such a thing. But once somebody with children comes to our shelter, that gentleman is usually there within a day or two, and he'll have the children in school, have the bus routes figured out, and he'll keep their education going. Because children and education is certainly one of our top priorities.
Besides the way that people can help by ringing the bell at this time of year, what else can people do to engage with your mission?
We have the Toys for Tots program, so we will get 150 families, and we kind of coordinate that with Bootstrap and the basket, holiday basket program. So we'll get those 150 families, and if we need toys. There's just 150 families is 300 children, 400 children. So if anyone would like to get a new unwrapped toy, we would take that.
Do you take it specifically at your location, or can they put it in any one of the Toys or Tots
any one of them.
locations? Okay.
And then we're going to do this year, for the first year, we're going to distribute the toys and everything at the shelter.
Interesting, interesting. And then what else? Like, do you need physical things to help with a Hope Center, help furnish the center, help, do you need anything from people who want to do special projects to more food right there?
We quite often have volunteers that'll stay with us for quite a length of time. We've got one fellow that's been volunteering with our maintenance department for, I believe, over almost 2 years now, and he comes in twice a week and helps with whatever we need doing around the shelter. Sometimes if somebody comes to us and they say, hey, I can do this, and we'll go, that's a great idea. We don't have one of them. So sometimes we'll adapt to whatever the person brings. We can't always do that, but sometimes if we can be flexible, we do. Again, there's also still opportunities to prepare meals at the Hope Center, and just give our office a call and we could set that up for you. We've had other volunteers that have helped us with building things. Once we had construction, we had a lot of volunteers that would help with that. So our need for volunteer changes, and we try to be as flexible as we can with what we offer. But again, the meals, the bells, those are always there.
Should we go through Volunteers Rock, United Way Volunteers Rock as a gateway for volunteers, or do you want them to stop by a particular place or go to a certain website?
They can get into the loop by going through Volunteers Rock.
Okay.
We've got our own volunteer site. Ringbells.org is where you sign up for bell ringing, or just call our office. Any of this, you can just call our office and we'll take care of what your needs are for volunteering.
So what are the eligibility requirements for a person to find shelter at the Hope Center? Do I have certain kind of parameters to meet before you'll accept me, providing that you had space? I always wondered that.
We cannot take anyone who's a sex offender because we have children in the shelter, so no sex offenders. We look for, well, we don't look for people, but we would like people to go out to be able to find full-time work, to get on their feet, to find their own house, so they're not back in the shelter. But we do have people that are on disability, and so then we have them work with a payee, so they know when they're looking for an apartment, the apartment owner knows they're going to get their rent. That's just, we're pretty open to people who will come in.
Down to earth. And it might be that somebody needs to seek shelter in a case where I need a safe place too.
Sure. I mean, there's one other class of people we can't take, and that's unaccompanied youth under 18. Okay. Now, the Crisis Center has a license that they can do that, so we're still covered in Stevens Point for that. That's just one other thing that we have to look out for. I mean, it has happened, so.
Fair enough. Now, Bob, you were telling me a story about...
Me tell a story?
Yeah, just one. You were telling me a story about when you first came to Wisconsin and the whole idea of homelessness and solving the problem of homelessness. Would you mind sharing that?
Well, when I came to Stevens Point, I was looking for work, and I started working part-time at the Hope Center. And they said, Bob, you'll never be full-time. Don't even get it in your head. So I said, okay, that's cool. And I thought, well, homelessness, I think we could probably clean up homelessness in Stevens Point in about a week. And then I thought, well, we could probably take care of the rest of the state in a month, the whole country in a year, homelessness would be gone. But it was at that point I realized how many different items or whatever, pieces of baggage go into being homeless. And it isn't just homelessness being without a home, it's homelessness because of bad decisions typically, and those bad decisions can have anything to do from alcohol or drug abuse to relationship issues to any issues that are out there, legal issues. So we have to start putting together a broader plan to help people. First, they have to be able to overcome them. If you've got an eviction from a landlord, it's really tough to get another place to rent. So we have to work through that. There's just a lot of issues that go into homelessness that we have to work our way through. And then there's an ever-increasing issue of mental illness that contributes to homelessness. And that is becoming even more difficult to deal with because there's less trained professionals to help with it.
Yes, absolutely. I just think that it was so provocative to hear you say that there's baggage that comes with homelessness. You know, because that isn't the first thing people think of.
Probably most people, in a way, homelessness is very free of responsibilities, but if you want to improve your life, you do have to get rid of the baggage that people probably don't realize that's with it. It's not just you're doing nothing and hanging out, because most shelters, there's a limit on how long you can be there. So you have to make wise use of your time. You have to try and get work or try and get your issues settled. And sometimes those issues take a lot of time.
So you're really working almost in a case management sort of basis to assist them in transitioning through their issues to become fully capable citizens again. That's the goal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Dana does a wonderful job. She meets with them weekly, if not more. And, you know, probably each week the same person has got a different issue that comes up. Sometimes she discovers it's kind of like, you know, peeling back layers, and you find out, well, okay, this guy's, he's got 2 children he's paying support for. And the next week you find out, well, he's got these legal issues. You don't always usually get it all at once, and so it's a little bit of a puzzle that you have to put together to help them.
Well, I can tell you that Portage County as a whole is very, very honored to have you helping us peel the onions and get to the center of things so that we can help people lead more centered lives and more productive lives. I'm sure that that's what they want on most cases anyway. And we're grateful for your service. Thank you for that.
Thank you,
we hope
Patty.
that most folks will get out there and ring that bell and make that donation and be involved throughout the year, not just only at this time of year. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Next month on Portage County Matters, we're going to talk with Mary Ann Krems and Julie Studinsky about the Portage County Alliance for Youth, the great things we're doing for children and preventing issues and empowering them to be all they can be. It's another way to get at building a stronger community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.